Turns out all that Justin Herbert needed to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league is to have just one healthy hand. Despite clearly being in pain multiple times on Sunday, Herbert had one of the best games of his career, completing 23 of 29 passes for 300 yards and a pair of touchdowns, while adding 42 yards and another score on the ground in a big win over the Dallas Cowboys. Herbert did all of this just 20 days after undergoing surgery for a broken left hand that he's powered through to not miss any time for his team. Herbert was ruthlessly efficient in the 34-17 win over the Cowboys, but what I really appreciate from looking at this pass chart is just because he was efficient doesn't mean he wasn't taking some big shots, including some deep plays of 20-plus yards downfield on both of his passing touchdowns. That win, along with Denver's loss to Jacksonville, is potentially setting up for a Week 18 showdown against the Broncos to determine this year's winner of the AFC West. So let's dive into the Chargers film from Sunday to show you just how dominant Justin Herbert is playing right now to keep Los Angeles in this division race in today's episode of Best Available. Happy holidays and thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube if you're not already, and be sure to follow us on socials as well at Best Available YT on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and also consider becoming a member. Again, reminder, we just have one more week of the holiday sale. For just $1.99 a month, you can support the channel, be able to suggest future videos, get full access to my NFL Draft Big Board, get some exclusive content that will only be running for members this offseason. And again, it's a great way to support the channel and us as we continue growing this out. So I highly encourage you to become a member. Look at that. There will be details to that in the episode description. But let's dive into this Herbert film, man, because he is playing lights out despite, playing with one hand. The discourse around Herbert has just gotten ridiculous at this point, and I really feel like it's being underappreciated this year. A, how well Herbert is playing, and B, just the fact that he is toughing it out with this broken hand. I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but if you watched this game all the way through, there were multiple times where there's replays, and Herbert is in legitimate, serious pain, including a video or a play that we'll show in a little bit of him getting the ball punched out. He does land back on the ball, but you could tell he was not having a good time after that play. And you can see right here just how big this cast is on his left hand. It's got to be really distracting to have to play with that. And I just wanted to make sure I took some time at the beginning of this film study to just competitive toughness is, I think, something that gets talked about kind of jokingly and described to as being meathead football. At the end of the day, it really matters, whether it's tangibly being on the field or just, the mental side of your teammates rallying around you because they know that you're playing hurt and it causes them to step their game up. I just think it's a trait that I think we talk about, but I don't think we talk about seriously enough. And I just think this entire game is Herbert embodying competitive toughness. So let's go ahead and dive into this first play. Opening drive, Chargers need to respond down 7-0, right? So we go here. And this is, in plus territory. They've been driving really solid opening drive to start the game. Things aren't going to go great here. We're going to have, 2 inside rushes here to bring an extra rusher. So we've got a 5-man rush. We're running here. We've got running back picking up here, but this is all a mess inside. So Herbert's going to feel that. He's going to feel the pressure right here from 42. He's going to sidestep that, keep his, he's for a 6'6" guy, quite mobile. He's going to escape the pocket. He's going to stiff arm with the broken hand. And I just imagine when the adrenaline's flowing, you kind of forget that you're trying to protect yourself in an instance like this, just trying to avoid the sack. But to throw the offhand, broken hand for a stiff arm on this play. And then what I always love a quarterback that when he escapes the pocket and is scrambling, his eyes are still downfield. He's not dropping his eyes trying to take off just because he's escaping the pocket. And maybe it's a little inadvisable to throw across your body, but when you see an open guy like this and you have keeping the eyes downfield, finding the outlet, and just, great throw to Trey Harris, who had an awfully nice game in this one. But you want to talk about that competitive? I love a quarterback that stays composed in the pocket, especially on deep balls or fade routes, which is what we're going to have on the outside of the screen here with Quentin Johnson. And, you can't see him on the screen, but essentially if he's right here, he's just getting released outside, going deep, aiming for the back corner pylon. And what I love about Herbert here on his deep shot, we talk about, he's a 6'6" guy. He has got great arm strength. He's had it since Oregon. Some guys with arm talent want to force a throw or, get really excited in the pocket, knowing they're going to throw deep. And I just love the patience here from Herbert. Pocket's going to, get legitimate push, but it's a quick, 1-step drop, 3-step drop. He's planting his feet, eyes and hips are aligned, and then it's just an easy throw. He's stepping into it. He's not over the defender. And then what a catch from Quentin Johnston. I love here. You can't fully step in the pocket with this D lineman generating push, but it's still a nice follow through. I just love how in control this entire drop back is. He's not, jumping up and down. He's not on his tiptoes. He knows his drop. He knows the timing. All of this, Quentin Johnston, what a catch. One-handed, while the other, it couldn't be more in the bucket from Herbert on this one. To set up Johnston, who also makes a phenomenal play, but no one else is catching that ball. I mean, that DB has no chance on this. That's just outstanding effort. If you can't throw in the middle of the field at the NFL level, I have some questions about, how good of a quarterback you really are. Not to say that guys that they're completely incapable of throwing the middle of the field are bad, but I just think it's one of those separators to me of like who are the truly elite guys if they can do this consistently. I really like this. So you're going to watch with motion. Watch how all these linebackers react. We're trying to create a throwing window on this play action. So we're going to run a motion. You can see all the linebackers bumping over to react to that, for run fit purposes for sure. But then, you're changing your zone drop based off of what you're seeing. So we bumped over, and then we got to split and get into our zone drops, right? We're trying to, looks like, get in the hook curl routes, just get in those throwing windows. But with this, you are creating a throwing window right here. Not the biggest one, but you can see we have the receiver coming across the field. We got to throw this with anticipation. If we're waiting to throw by the time the receiver's here, one of these guys is breaking this off, right? So Herbert sees it. He sees that throwing window is about to be open with this receiver. He's winding up to throw before he's even gotten into that window, because this seems like a big window. And at the NFL level, I'm sure it is a legit throwing window, but if you don't throw this with anticipation, that's where this gets really risky. But the fact that he's winding up to throw before we're even in that window splits the two linebackers, and that we get a really nice gain. And another catch from Trey Harris, who is quickly becoming a part of this offense, which is really exciting to see. But I just appreciate the ability to throw middle of the field off play action, anticipate that throwing window based off what the linebackers are giving you. And then, he's throwing a little behind here. Let me stop it when the placement. He's throwing a little behind. I think if he's leading this receiver, this guy's getting rocked. So I think that's kind of exactly where it needs to be on this play. Just a nice throw. I love a good middle of the field concept, especially one off play action, and especially one where the quarterback is throwing with anticipation. I love this concept. This is the perfect beater for this coverage, and I'll show you why. And we will come back to this coverage later. But we're going to have this motion across the formation from Ladd McConkey to set him up on a touchdown. It's a really fun concept. So we're going to have him go into motion. We're going to have him, become the outside receiver on this side. And all this is on the back side of this play is just, a drag route and a spot right here. But we're not worried about that. Let's rewind and show you the look we're getting pre-snap, right? We're getting a single high look, right? Typically, you're thinking a couple things. You're thinking cover one, potentially, where this safety just has all deep responsibilities. He's got to be able to break sideline to sideline, and everyone else is in man, which is kind of the look you're getting here until this motion, which then quickly tells me it's not a man look, because we don't have someone following McConkey across the formation. There's no communication about switching man, nothing like that. So then I'm seeing zone. And when you think zone and single high safety, you're likely thinking some kind of cover three look, where this guy has deep third responsibility, so he's covering the middle third of the field. One of these corners is likely playing, his third, and then another corner is playing their third. Instead, what we're getting is we're actually going to rotate these safeties. So this guy's going to drop back, and we're going to drop here, and then it's just going to become a traditional cover two. So once we run this, what happens is this safety rotates back. He's got deep half responsibilities. This safety has deep half responsibilities. This linebacker is almost like in a Tampa 2 drop, so he's like another middle of the field dropper. We've got hook, and then these two corners are playing flat. So right here, flat, right here, flat. And this concept is perfect for what we got with this cover 2, because we talked about the drag and the spot, right? But the more important things are these 3 routes. We're going to have a seam here. That McConkey motion also turns into a seam. And then we have this flat from the running back. This running back, as we roll this, is going to draw the eyes of this defender and cause this guy to hesitate briefly because we want to try and break down on that underneath pass. And then as we keep rolling it, this safety is going to react, oh, hey, deep shot inside. So he's going to try and cover this guy. While Diggs, whose responsibility is the flat, gets hesitant here. I think he understands it's likely, flat responsibilities, but we see a deep shot. We see Herbert's eyes. We can drift off the flat and cover 2 if we see we're targeting deep and trying to help carry this, which is what Diggs sees. Then he hesitates a little. I don't know if he sees the running back. I don't know if he's reacting to the inside vertical route from Allen, but that's all we need here because this safety is so focused on Allen that we have the deep shot to McConkey right here. That distraction from Keenan Allen's vertical shots, all we need to hold that safety in too high look. He breaks down on the wrong route. So now we have no one over the top because technically flat responsibilities for Trayvon Diggs, who you can see hesitates. I think he just gets caught in looking at a couple different things because his responsibility technically is not deep. And this entire play design against this coverage and, Herbert's ability to diagnose based on this motion that it's not going to be a cover 1 look, we're going to get something else. And then we just have the perfect beater for it. Just very impressed touchdown out of it. Good throw, hit him in stride. But, he's wide ass open thanks to a great play call against this coverage. All right, 2-minute drill, 3rd and 5, 30 seconds before halftime, and the Chargers are driving. But if you want a touchdown, you got to get something here. And Herbert makes something work on 3rd and 5 here. So he's going to feel this pressure coming from around the edge. He sees a seam. He steps up into it. So Herbert takes off, keeps his eyes downfield. This defender loses his feet. I don't know why this makes me laugh because I think technically Herbert could just throw this. Just shovel passes it. And, normally that thing. And maybe because he's such a big body, long-limbed dude, winding up to throw this is probably going to let that defender on the left side of the screen, currently off screen, break down on this. And that shovel pass gives him a little less time to react. Inaccuracy, loft, all of that, great play from Herbert. I hope you were paying attention to the Ladd McConkey touchdown because we have a similar look right here. We've got that single high safety look, right? So we've got trips to the field side or the wide side of the field. So we're going to just snap it. And you can see as soon as we snap, we're no longer single high safety. This safety is rotating back to, go deep 2 again. Looks like another Tampa, or not Tampa 2, but we do look like we have a cover 2 look based on this guy's hips as they flip, how Trayvon Diggs is sitting in the flat. That's telling me cover 2, yes, because you can see how low he is to the ground here at the top of the screen. He's not trying to sprint and carry Johnston all the way up. He is worried about flat responsibility, so he's just kind of sitting there. Probably don't want that when there's no one in the flat, but this is the responsibilities of cover 2. We have something in cover 2 that you want to attack as a quarterback called a hole shot. Because you have this corner in the flat and a safety over the top helping, there's typically a little bit of space on the sideline to drop it in the bucket, and we call that a cover 2 hole shot. Herbert is a little late to this throw. So I want to make sure we point that out because he's still not thrown this. And with this momentum, the hole shot is dead. We don't have the window here to make the hole shot. So it might be a little critical that we're not hitting that. But I don't care because Herbert's 6'6" and has an absolute cannon. And he's going to a 6'4", 6'5" jump ball specialist receiver that almost gets behind the safety. And the reason I wanted to show that, I'm not too picky about the hole shot. I want you to pay attention again. We're going against that, disguised cover 2 look, and we're having the inside receiver also run vertically again. Technically, we're having everyone run vertically. We got a crosser here as well, along with this deep shot. But this number 2, I believe that's McConkey, is going to hold number 28. And if you pay attention, he's consistently keeping his eyes on McConkey because we're worried about this vertical shot. And by the time Herbert steps in to throw, he's already flipped his hips and committed in here, and the safety realizes, oh crap, I picked the wrong receiver. He's got to flip his hips back towards Johnston, so he's out of position on this. And then he's just playing catch up, and he's just not going to win a contested catch battle out of position like this, where he's just sprinting to catch up, does not have time to box out and try and leap for the ball. Another nice job of, the Chargers attacking this disguised too high safety look, because initially we're just seeing one safety. Really fun. And I thought the Chargers did a great job in this game of attacking this coverage specifically by pushing the ball vertically. Just a great job. And what a play from Johnston, who I just think got crapped on his entire rookie year. And it was disappointing. I liked him at TCU. I was fascinated by his play style because it was just very unique for a potential first-round pick. And I understand why people had some questions, especially with all the drops his rookie year. But I think he's come alive the last couple seasons, and I hope the fans that were so critical of him early on can appreciate how much he's grown as an NFL player. I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout-out because, we saw that one-handed touchdown earlier. We see this deep shot. Like, he's having an outstanding, impactful kind of season for the Chargers. Herbert does not get enough credit for being as athletic as he is. Him and Trevor Lawrence, these two big-bodied guys that are like legitimately mobile for their size, I just don't think get enough credit for it. And here we got all kinds of pressure look here, just kind of overloading inside. So we got a blitz from depth, twist inside, pushes here. It's just there's a lot going on this rush, and the potential free rusher off this linebacker. Herbert feels that, escapes, and instead of breaking out where Kenny Clark is waiting for him, he's just going to take off upfield. And then he's got green grass for a while. And here, would love for you to slide, man. We've got this giant cast on your left arm. Please slide. You're the franchise quarterback. Season's kind of over if you get hurt again. And here he is just lowering his pads, gets hit with the helmet right on that hand. And then gets swatted at as he's going down, fumbles it, has to pick it back up, all while just taking a helmet to a broken, surgically repaired hand. Les playing through it. I keep talking about it, man. Like, he really gutted it out, toughed it out in this one. All right, it's 3rd and 1, and your quarterback has a broken hand. What are you going to do? We're going to motion in number 44, and we're just going to push it. This is right after that big hit, too. Like, this is a few plays later, if I recall, from cutting this up. So he had that hit, like, got knocked on the hand and was in a lot of pain on the broadcast. It was very clear, was not feeling good after that hit on his 34-yard screen. And he's going to convert the 3rd and 1 because they need the first down. It was just so on brand for a game. He's just taking all these lumps, and yet here he is, in pain, still QB sneaking. So many teams want to protect their quarterback. They're worried about quarterback sneaks, especially with a guy that's banged up. A lot of teams have, started to use tight ends to run, QB sneaks, but it doesn't matter for the Chargers. They're like, you're 6'6", man, and you're big body, and I know you want this, so go out there and sneak it. Anytime anyone tells me like, oh, I could play football because I was big, I'm like, I don't think 999% of the population is wired the way these guys are. Last play we're going to show, it's 3rd and 9, up 2 scores, need to ice the game. And boy, does it feel like this one kind of did it. We're going to have an inside motion from Quentin Johnston, who's just going to run across the formation on 3rd and 9, and we're going to pick this up. And I want you to pay attention to Herbert in the pocket as we run this. So McConkey's going to get locked up. We're going to have here, but we get this clear man-on-man look that Diggs is coming in following Johnston from extreme depth. So he's going to have the space to just come across the formation. But Herbert is what I'm impressed with here. We have great pressure by rookie Donovan Ezra-Rocky, one of my favorite prospects in the draft class. But he's going to get home, and he's going to get, in the face of Herbert, who has to step in and wait on this throw. Like, we're getting, a bit of cushion here, but in order for us to actually get this throw off, we need to wait for Johnston to separate on after his route stem. So right here, we have to wait. There's pressure coming in. We have to stick with it. And then Herbert, knowing he's going to take another shot, just delivers an absolute seed on this one. And, a worse throw, and Diggs might take this to the house if this throw is slightly inside, because Diggs is just cheating that's trying to jump it. But because that throw from Herbert, is where it needs to be, Diggs, despite trying to jump it, is just not going to have any help. And then the safety has to come help and clean that up along with Diggs. And we get a big completion into the red zone on 3rd and 9 just a clutch play, and I love that Herbert's willing to step in after all the hits and shots he took in this game to, step in, take another one for the sake of the team to convert the third down. It's not just that Herbert made a lot of really nice plays in this game, both as a passer and with his legs. Again, it's that competitive toughness to do all of this with the broken hand that kept getting banged up, that clearly was causing him a lot of discomfort in this game. And to pull out a dominant win against, I know the Cowboys aren't going to make the playoffs, but I still think that's a respectable, team to play against. And to dominate them like that shows me that the Chargers are legit playoff contenders this year. And with how wide open the NFL is, who knows? Maybe they can make a real run. I really don't know, what this playoffs is going to look like, once the bracket is finally set. Can't wait for it, though. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't watch by Wednesday, I hope you have a great Christmas. The support this year has been unbelievable. I'm just so grateful for everyone. And again, reminder, until the end of the year, so the 31st, we are running that holiday sale for membership. So if you made it this long in the video, I know you love the channel. I know you love the videos. It's really a great way to support the channel. It's $1.99 a month, so highly encourage you to check that out before that offer ends. We'll be back on Wednesday. You'll see a different backup or background. I'll explain that on Wednesday. But you'll see something different for a couple of videos. Don't panic. Everything's fine. Just going to be on vacation, but we're still going to deliver content to the people over the holidays. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday.